You staged this bonfire! Yeah, you staged it! You staged it! Staged it! You staged it!
Now you, the British people, are being gaslit. You are being lied to. While the people always sensed there was something unusual about the Southport atrocities ever since that fateful day, the authorities have hid behind legal processes and bureaucracies. Yesterday, Keir Starmer admitted that he knew the details about Axel Rudicabaner's background long before they came out. Check out this clip.
Yes, I knew the details as they were emerging. That is the usual practice in a case such as this. But you know and I know that it would not have been right to disclose those details.
But this is not consistent with Keir Starmer's previous actions. During the 2017 Finsbury Park terror attack, Starmer called it a terror attack before terrorism charges had been announced.
Keir Starmer, who was supposed to rally the crowd, faced an awkward moment when he was booed by his own supporters. His speech sparked outrage, prompting a call to break the silence.
How many more children are going to die on our streets, Prime Minister? How many more children? How many more children, Prime Minister? Are we going to do something? Time to change, Starmer. Come on, needed. How many more children? Is it mine next?
Starmer, once the pride of Labour, has lost touch and arrived in Southport expecting a warm reception. As the Labour leader, he was expecting a warm reception but faced a reality check he didn't expect.
The senseless, barbaric murder of 3 young girls in Southport is a devastating moment in our history. No words come anywhere close to expressing the brutality and horror in this case. Every parent in Britain would have had the same thought. It could have been anywhere. It could have been our children.
The Speaker requests that viewers find the political content interesting, like the video, and subscribe to the channel. They mention that most viewers watch without subscribing, which is free and greatly helps the channel. They thank the viewer for their support.
I'm here to speak to this man, not your security. You have failed me.
Thank you.
I've been a Labour voter my entire life. You have failed to be the opposition. You have failed to ask whether lockdown was functioning.
Just behind. Can we just
Do you understand?
Shall we go on in?
Thousands of people have died because you have failed to do your job and ask the real questions.
I disagree.
Well, I am telling you now, and I hope this goes out, you have failed this country.
Starmer's speech caused a significant change in the atmosphere, with people fidgeting and exchanging glances, screaming, and questioning if this was truly happening, resulting in disbelief, disappointment, and frustration.
In addressing some of that, what do you make of it?
The Prime Minister is continuing to deliberately mislead the British people to continue suiting his own narrative. And I'm afraid all of this nonsense that he couldn't say anything is simply untrue. And it's not true to say that the nature of terrorism has changed.
The Speaker criticizes the Prime Minister for deliberately misleading the British people to align with his narrative, arguing that the claims that terrorism have changed are untrue, and that the Prime Minister's inability to make any significant statements is untrue. The author recalls attending Labour events in Southport, where Jeremy Corbyn was a popular figure. However, the recent event with Starmer was a disaster, with MPs appearing to disappear and hiding behind their notepads. One MP was glued to her phone, while another was glued to her notepad. The event was marked by an awkward silence instead of applause, making it difficult for the crowd to engage.
Welcome along. Today, Axel Rudicabaner, the 18-year-old son of Rwandan immigrants, pleaded guilty to murdering 3 little girls, attempting to murder 8 other children and 2 more adults. He also pleaded guilty to the production of the chemical weapon writing and the possession of a terrorist training manual. I'll just start with this. How was the murder of those little girls and the attempted murder of everyone else not a terrorist offence? How can it be that the Crown Prosecution Service and police know he's got a manual literally called Military Studies in the Jihad Against Tyrants, the Al-Qaeda Training Manual, as well as writing in his bedroom, and not put two and two together and say that he's committed a terrorist attack? Why was it months before
Starmer's economic policies went awry when he acted like a foreign language, causing confusion among the crowd. He believed he was delivering a masterclass, but the crowd was left with glaring faces filled with confusion rather than conviction.
was not known to authorities? But that is not true. He was referred to the Counter-Extremism Prevent programme 3 times, and police had visited his home address on numerous occasions. He had a history of violence, he was expelled from school, he attacked another pupil with a hockey stick. The police must have known this when they were telling everyone to calm down, that he's just a quiet Welsh choir boy. And crucially, at what point did Sir Keir Starmer and Yvette Cooper know, A, about his troubled past, and B, that he'd been found with a jihadi terror manual and writing? Did they?
In a speech, Starmer, a prominent figure in the country's economic plan, was interrupted by a loud boo from the back. The crowd reacted with groans and boos, leaving the room feeling uneasy and hostile. The disappointment was palpable, but Starmer's face was strikingly stunned, as if it had never crossed his mind that his own supporters would turn against him like this. The mood shifted from uneasy to outright hostile, leaving a lasting impression on the audience.
But we were all shown this picture of Axel Rudikabana, weren't we? There he is. And then today, after he's pleaded guilty, we finally get the mugshot. Now, a bit of a difference there, isn't there? A bit of a contrast. Why was the media and the public denied that picture until now? Does that not indicate that there's an attempt to portray him as a young, angelic-looking schoolboy instead of the evil, demonic monster that he so clearly is? Interesting too, is it not, the fact that there's been quite a lot of debate about the timing of the trial. When it started on the same day as President Trump's inauguration, the biggest news day of the year, and the fact that there was no indication that Rudikabana would suddenly change his plea at the last minute. For some, particularly as the victims' families weren't even in court today, by all accounts, it all seems like an extraordinary coincidence, that, doesn't it? Equally, it seems unlikely that anyone would have predicted his last-minute change of plea, so there is that. But now we're being told that that is apparently a good thing.
In Southport, a politician, Starmer, failed to understand the golden rule of politics and missed the mark. The event was a train wreck, with Starmer entering as the main event and leaving looking more like the punchline of a bad joke. This moment highlights the difficulty of someone climbing too high in politics and ultimately falling short.
I think there's only one strong view, and that is that we are facing the mother of all cover-ups. I mean, you've just read out there a serious list of extraordinary questions and coincidences, and people want answers.
Starmer's controversial speech in 2016 was not just about a second referendum, but about his life's mission to champion the Remain cause. He pushed for a public vote on the final Brexit deal, but then shifted his focus to Labour's need to move on from Brexit. This caused tension and alienation among his base pro-Remain supporters, who felt betrayed. Starmer's actions may have been a tactic to appeal to Brexit voters, but they are not the only ones feeling betrayed.
The question that I asked on October the 30th to the Prime Minister is, given his own independent review of legislation, Jonathan Hall KC recommended repeatedly that in incidents like this, it is better to put out more information in order to prevent a misinformation gap, and they didn't. And the Chief Constable's got serious questions to answer about why twice, the day after and then on October the 29th, she said this was a non-terrorist incident. If holding Al-Qaeda...
During a Southport speech, Starmer was interrupted 5 times while discussing Brexit, causing a full-blown revolt among his supporters. This is not just a pushback, but a shift in Labour's stance towards its past. Labour members are tearing into Starmer and the party leadership on social media, potentially leading to electoral consequences. Die-hard Remainers are questioning why they would stick with a party that encourages them to move on from one of the biggest political battles of the decade.
Listen, my advice to Keir Starmer is to stop being an idiot because, listen, Keir Starmer and half of the cabinet voted against President Trump's state visit last time round. We've got so many of members of the cabinet, David Lammy notably, having carried out vitriolic and ridiculous personal attacks on Donald Trump. They're all now desperately trying to backtrack and they're all desperately trying to suck up to President Trump. You know, at best, they're going to be irrelevant. But at worst, they have done great harm to the UK's national interest. So they've got to grow up, stop playing petty student politics, and actually stand up for the UK, get a free trade agreement, work on ensuring our military and security agreements are robust, and learn the lessons of how Donald Trump is securing their border for a start.
Starmer, a Labour leader, has been criticised for praising Donald Trump, a figure he has been criticising for years. This has led to questions about his intentions and the potential consequences of his actions. Instead of maintaining professionalism, Starmer has praised Trump's role in Gaza, a situation that has been a disaster for international relations. This move has been seen as a move to appear like a diplomatic mastermind, but it has actually done the opposite.
But how was he allowed to do this? Caught with a knife 10 times? Reported to prevent 3 times. He called child line and apparently said that he wanted to kill someone. They called the police went round, they didn't do anything. The authorities, in my view, have blood on their hands. But as Britain's biggest monster began his 52-year prison sentence today, I looked around.
The party's future is uncertain due to a leadership crisis, with Southport's brutal Southport as the opening act. Labour may struggle to bounce back or crumble under Starmer's missteps, making it difficult for the party to succeed. The party's future is uncertain, and it is crucial to ensure that Labour can bounce back from the current setbacks.